Hi everybody, this is Lee from Fresh Astrology, and we're looking at August 2017, and we're going to focus on the eclipses. They're kind of making the headlines here. And so mostly you reduce the eclipses down to, they're a new moon and a full moon on steroids, basically. And then they're going to have the way they interact with the rest of the sky. So because they're happening in August, you've got a lot of Leo action here. And because of the polarity of opposites, you've also got some Aquarius going on. But of course, all the signs are impacted. It depends on where you have Leo and Aquarius in your chart, which kind of zone of living, the area of life where it falls, it impacts that area of life. So even for Leos and Aquariuses, it may seem more impactful to them somehow, but it may also just be wherever they have the sun and moon situation going on in their chart, because a lot of Leos have a very different rising sign. A lot of Aquarius people have a very different rising sign. So they may be impacted more like a Sagittarius or a Gemini or a Taurus. It may not come across personally. Now, if you're a Leo rising, Aquarius rising, then it's more, I would say it's more impactful personally to you. That does not mean good or bad. It really doesn't. It depends on the day you're born and the time you were born. It depends on so many variables, the place in the world where you were born. And even when you have oppositions and squares, all that stuff going on, that's not negative necessarily. I know that we've got a lot of people talking about Regulus, it's a star, and kind of where the eclipse is hitting, the fact that the North Node is there. That's all very interesting. But remember not to freak out. Don't freak out. Don't read too much into it. Don't get to a point where you're determined to think it's one thing or another. The best a person can do ever is to wake up each day, put one foot in front of the other, and live life as close as they can to their true values and who they are. Be your most authentic self and trust that the right thing is happening. Be who you are. Adhere to your core values. And walk that path with integrity and trust that the right thing is happening. Sometimes we can't understand why something is right until much, much later. So even if something, and we get the weird gifts, the blessings in disguise, there's a reason why we had that saying, blessings in disguise. It's because there's a lot of truth there. Something we think is not really a blessing turns out to be a blessing. So I'm not even preparing you for something bad, but I'm just saying, start prepping your mind now for being open to what may occur, and just all you can do is be in the now at any given moment. Don't project forward and try to live in some moment in the future with fear, especially. Don't put yourself there with an ounce of fear in your emotional wiring. It's not going to do you any good. It's not going to do the world any good. If you must project yourself forward, do so with hope and optimism and a feeling of joy. It works. If you want to put out good energy into the world and put out, a good intention, it's like a prayer. It's like a living, walking, breathing prayer. That's what you are. And if you must look forward, do so with joy and hope, or at least an openness, an acceptance. not a dull, I must accept the worst acceptance, but an embracing of what is and what might be. Mostly it's better just to stay in the now and be fully aware of what's going on around you and inside of you now. But we will look at, that where this stuff is happening and what's happening for each sign. Mostly I really want to kind of hammer home that the energy you put out there is what counts in any given moment. So if you must move forward in time and you must hyper focus on those eclipses, do so, I would suggest, with a feeling of put yourself in a place of joy about who you are, what your hopes and dreams for the world. When you leap forward and project forward with fear, anger, whatever, suspicion, it's like a prayer for that. It's like a prayer of anger. It's like a prayer for suspicion. It's like you're infusing your life in the moment with that. When you look forward with fear, you're infusing the now with fear. It's not the most stable place for action unless you're being charged by a bear. Then it's really important to be scared and to react in a scared fashion. But when we're looking at a chart and thinking about eclipses, it does no good to rest all your decision making and your emotions, and it's really your decision making. You kind of move forward in the now based on the underlying feeling and thoughts. So if you've got thoughts that are creating fears and suspicion and anger, revenge feelings, if you're resting on that, it's going to impact how you behave, how people perceive you. So how do you want people to perceive you? Do they want to, do you want them to react to some kind of internal anger, fear, suspicion, revenge thing going on inside of you? People may not know that that's what's going on inside of you, but they feel it like it's a little radio frequency, and they'll be responding to you in a certain way that would be different than if you had a little radio frequency going out of peace. I feel peaceful. I feel accepting of what is. I'm hopeful. That sends out a different frequency. It's not woo-woo, because you've grown up knowing this. Children know this most of all. Think of this, and you knew when your parents were happy, and you knew when your parents were angry and maybe holding it in, but they were tense and angry. And you knew that feeling was different from the happy parent, the joyful parent, the peaceful parent. We're wired to understand these energetics around other people. And we're wired to pick up body language and all that kind of thing. This ripples out bigger than just being right next to someone who's angry. Because it's energy, there's no holding it. It keeps going. The energy is beyond our control in terms of where it goes and how far out it goes. Whatever energy, however it works, once it's out there, it can go beyond the room. It goes beyond the neighborhood. It may go beyond that moment in time. We don't know how it all works, but there's something to it. Just think about if you had a very angry, kind of bitter parent, that rippled out in time, that moved forward. It created a certain pathway for the family, a certain pathway for you. In a weird kind of mixing of variables, it maybe had an impact on your friends, on your own children, on your neighbors, on employers, employees, spouses. All this stuff ripples out. So I just want to prep people because there's a lot of buzz around the eclipses, and they're important. They're big. Make them a fun kind of big. Make them be curious about what's going to happen. If you must approach it with something more neutral, you can't be joyous about it because you're still a little wondering. Just adapt. Set your frequency to curious, but not curious with a mixture of fear. Just curious. See if you can do that. If you feel yourself beginning to be, to have trepidation, fear, you get you clench up, your body clenches up when you think about August, notice that. And then in that moment that you notice that you're tense or fearful or angry or whatever it is you're feeling, something that isn't very positive or peaceful, just notice. And in the moment of noticing, it immediately diffuses some of whatever that is, the fear or the anger. You don't have to try to be happy. I don't want you to falsely, try to force yourself to be happy when you don't feel that way, but just notice what thinking about this stuff does to you inside. Notice what how your body responds. Do you get a sharp pain? Do you get a headache? Do you suddenly get reflux and acid bubbling out of your stomach? Arguably, that's not a great way to be. So just notice. I'm not going to say force yourself to be happy, force yourself to think only good will happen, but just notice what this does to you when you think about it. Notice how your body responds. In that just momentary awareness and noticing, you're diffusing, you're getting rid of some of the crap, basically, that's stored there in the fear or the fearful thoughts. So you don't even have to, force yourself to smile or whatever. Although smiling 1 minute a day is really good for you. All right, onward with the readings for each sign, and we'll start, as always, with Aries and end with Pisces, and I'll try to get those timestamps in, and so I'll see you, Aries, you're next. Hi, Aries. Okay, so we're looking at August 2017, and we're looking at the eclipses. So we got the partial lunar, which is a full moon, and we've got the full solar, which is a new moon. The full moon is on the 7th, and the new moon is on the 21st. So let's look. So the 7th of August, so this is kind of how you're beginning the month. You're prepping for this full moon. You have the full moon. This kind of flavors the first half of the month. So for an Aries, let me just pull this chart over so I can see it better. Okay, so full moons, there's a big light shown on something. You're able to see something. Something becomes apparent, obvious in some way, in some place in your life. It's most likely to be obvious in the area of children and romance, maybe some kind of speculative venture where you're gambling your money, gambling on something. So there could be something obvious about, like, if you've picked a stock or something, or a racehorse, something becomes obvious here. Like, maybe this is a bad racehorse. Maybe you gambled on the wrong thing. Maybe you gambled on the right thing. Because it's not all bad here. It's not all bad. The north node points you. This is where the sun is hanging out. And during the windows of these eclipses, the sun is moving toward and kind of opposite the south node. And we've got Mars in here. A lot of people are scared of Mars, but you're an Aries. Should people be scared of you? Like, most of the Aries people I know are awesome. They're so generous. There's a lot of giving nature, an openness, a willingness to trust. Aries has a lot of good qualities. I think they're fiery, they can have a temper, but there's also this huge generosity. That's really what I notice about Aries. Aries are very generous. They want what's best for people. Maybe not every single Aries on the planet, but the people I know. So the North Node is pointing all of us in Leo, where it is right now, toward something we're supposed to focus on. So for an Aries, this has to do with a child, having fun. Is your life fun? That's a good question for an Aries to be asking. Is my life fun? Are we having fun yet? It's also good to be asking, am I betting on the right thing? Am I betting on the right racehorse? Am I doing the right thing for my child? Is it time to change direction with this child? What's become obvious on the 7th? Something I need to do. The North Node implies an action, but it's more long term. It could be like a quick action, maybe. You've got Mars here. But I would say the action is more toward the end of the month and the beginning of the month. You know, of course, then we've got Mercury. There's a whole Mercury retrograde thing going on. So there is a rethinking. What is becoming obvious early in the month? What becomes glaringly obvious around the 7th? And then what can you start anew on the 21st? So I'm going to jump to the 21st here. I've already looked at these so much, I kind of know. But I'd say there's a decision, even if it's not the action, there's a decision to be made on the 21st, near or on the 21st, with a new intention. Maybe it stems from frustration, anger. Maybe it's that fresh generosity feeling that comes with Mars. Mars is just energy. All it is energy. Yes, it's associated with the god of war, metaphorically speaking. It's fiery. I mean, it does have that reputation, and you can see it sometimes. You know, you can feel your own anger sometimes when it's in your sign. You know, when it's in an area where your partnerships or friends or children are, sometimes you feel their anger, their energy, their frustration. So it definitely has that. It's energy. A lot of times people don't know what do you do with strong energy? People get uncomfortable with it. They don't know what to do with it. The best thing here is to use the Mercury retrograde to rethink. Be willing to reconsider. Be willing to rethink. Definitely think. I would think we're thinking of a long-range, long-term plan. So this is about thinking long-term, being more mindful, going back over some things, questioning previous decisions. For you, it may have to do with your schedule. It may have to do with your health, or the health of a child, or the health of a loved one. Sorry, I have to drink water. So, what health issues, scheduling issues are going on? Rethink this. Maybe you'll get new information on something. So Aries, that's it. So it's really, in this area, the 5th house, if you know what that is, but it has to do with children. Are you betting on the right racehorse? If you're involved in a romantic relationship, do you need to rethink something? Maybe there's just a lot of passion here. It again doesn't have to be, you can know it. The one good thing about knowing about the Mars energy is you can be mindful of how you deal with intense energy. You can choose how to act. You don't have to know astrology to be mindful, but one thing astrology can lend us is the foresight and maybe the mindfulness to pay attention to that Mars energy. All we can do is control our own actions. So we can't reach out and control what's happening in the world. each person is responsible for their Mars and what's going on, how they react to a given situation. How will you react? Choose now. Choose that you're going to be generous and productive with your energy. You'll be passionate about the health of your child. You'll be passionate about your own health. You'll be passionate about making a new decision with how you spend your time. Okay? All right, Aries, happy August. It's really, you can't think about everything that's happening in the world around you. You can't think about possible disasters. You can only think about your own life and what your agenda is and what your core values are. That's all you can control. All right, take care. Hi, Taurus. Okay, so we're looking at August 2017. We're paying special attention to the messages from the eclipses. Eclipses, as I said in the intro, there's just nothing to be. Fear does no one any good. The only thing to fear is fear itself. It's not the best foundation unless you're being charged by a man-eating animal, or you're swimming away from a man-eating shark. You do not base your life on fear for the best result. It's not going to do your health any good. It's not going to do you any good. So don't be scared of these eclipses. All you can control is your own reaction to life and how you progress and proactively move through life. Your decision making you control. How you react, you control. That's all you got. All right, so August 7th, we have the full moon, which is a partial lunar eclipse. And this takes place for Taurus in the axis of the 4th and 10th houses. So these are strong points in a chart where big decisions may be made around where you live, who you live with, where you work, who you work with. So in a partial eclipse, especially on a full moon, when things can become glaringly obvious, there may be a decision to be made around work or around home or lifestyle, how they interact. Lifestyle, your family, work, all of this will play into decision making. Do you want to spend more time at home? Do you want to work at home? Do you hate your commute? Do you want to move? Do you want a new job? Something will become pretty obvious here. Maybe it's just a member of the family. Maybe it's something to do with your parents. Something becomes really obvious about parents and parenting. So it's not just your parents, but sometimes it's how you are a parent. Parenting issues. You go to a parenting class. You make a decision to learn something new about parenting. You notice something about your parenting. You notice something about how you were parented and about your past. Big breakthrough psychologically, potentially. And it may come about through an interaction at work, with a boss, maybe not. But these are the areas where you may be when you get this aha moment, or maybe you're thinking, with the Mercury retrograde action, and the shadow falls beyond the actual Mercury retrograde dates. So we're really in a time of rethinking, researching, reconsidering, reviewing, rescheduling, noticing, having an awareness. Mercury retrograde is great for expanding our awareness of something. Our brain is able to go back over stuff that maybe before it didn't want to go over, didn't want to see it before. Mercury retrograde helps us see with our mind, notice. Information can come to light that even if it came to light at a different time, we wouldn't have noticed it or been able to take it in. We can take in this information. So what can you take in now? What are you able to take in? How do you want to respond? How do you want to use this Mars energy? There's energy to change, to travel, to move. It's better to be making the decision and doing some research around a decision than it is to make a snap decision. So decide now. Put little reminder notes out there. Put a reminder in your phone. Don't react. Research, review, take time to notice and be aware. But those are the themes, and all you control is your reactions and your decisions. And maybe what the seeds that you plant now, you can be planting seeds, like the little reminders in your calendar to research, reschedule, review, take time. Don't react. Think. Use the energy toward research. Use the energy toward, maybe being physical in your home. Like maybe you literally need to exercise in your home or move things around, straighten, vacuum, yard work. Those are very productive ways to use that energy effectively, productively, and all the while you can be thinking. Reviewing, revising, being aware of what's going on inside of you. So that's August. Now on the 21st, when we have the solar eclipse, sorry, it clicked, my computer clicked off the chart. There will be a clear decision point, maybe around a child. Maybe there's a child involved. That north node is pointing you toward decisions in the family, in the home, around children, around parents, around parenting. If your parents are dead, you're an orphan and you have no children, this is really around home, where you live, who you live with. Maybe a few of you are deciding to move in with somebody you love, a romantic partner. You're deciding to live together or not. Maybe you are living together and you part ways. Something becomes glaringly obvious, but I advise you to be researching through August. Don't kick someone out overnight. But do be noticing what you notice. Don't turn a blind eye. That's not the way to deal with this energy. This energy requires awareness, attention, intention, research, using the mind's eye, using the mind in an open, let's consider all the variables kind of way, not a lockstep, I know the answer, I'm going to react now kind of way. I'm going to decide now. It's really about staying open and being willing to see all the sides, being willing to do more reading, research, review, rescheduling, around what becomes glaringly obvious. So it's home, it's parents, it's maybe work, but it seems like even if something happens at work, the decisions are really around shuffling around stuff around home, who lives where, moving somebody, maybe a child, maybe a romantic partner. That's what you're looking at for August. All right, take care. Hi everybody, so we are looking at Gemini here. We're looking at Gemini's August 2017. We're paying attention to the eclipses. They're getting a lot of press, and there tends to be, there's this feeling of tension and fear that I'm picking up on that I think I would like to address here. So I recommend that you go back and listen to my intro around how to kind of reset, recalibrate how you approach August. Let's not act out of fear and anger, suspicion. Let's not base everything on that. The saying goes, the only thing to fear is fear itself. Let's dial it all back and look at where it is in your chart. Let's think about what you have control over, which is really you. That's it. You have control over yourself, how you make decisions in every moment. That's what you have control over, and how you react in each moment. That's what you have control over. Nothing else. Nothing else. That's it. So let's look at Gemini on the 7th of August when we have the full moon and the partial lunar eclipse. The axis, because we're always talking about an axis in astrology, the sun is in Leo, the moon is in Aquarius. The axis cuts across from your third house, what's called the third house, to the ninth house. These are areas of the mind and travel. A lot of times when there's activity here, people are commuting heavily, they're traveling, there are issues around travel, there are issues around school, where to go to school, who's going to school. If you have kids, it's this time of, thinking about school, thinking ahead. We've got this whole Mercury retrograde thing, so we're reviewing, we're thinking, we're planning, we're revising schedules around maybe travel and school. That's what's coming up here. And the North Node is down here where in Leo, in your third house. It acts like the point of an arrow, where we want to focus more here than we do on the back end of the arrow. That's still an important end of the arrow. That's where the moon is at this time. It's where distant travel is. It's where second marriage is. But we don't want to be focused on that, really, if we're following the node, the wisdom of the nodes. The wisdom says you need to focus on commuting schedules, school stuff with grade school level kids. If you're a teacher, then you're wrapping. This is a time of year when you're focusing on that. If you have children, it's a time of year you begin focusing. But you're not necessarily starting or acting upon. You're revising and reviewing and rethinking and using your mind in an open kind of way where you're not fixed on some decision moving forward with it, but you're kind of researching and reevaluating. It suggests an open mind. Sometimes during a Mercury retrograde, we're more open-minded. Or we can become so. Life will make us so. So that's why sometimes it's really frustrating. Mercury retrogrades can feel frustrating if we're very fixed in our ideas and we're moving forward and we have this plan and it has a tight schedule. Mercury retrograde is going to really shake that up, and it can feel frustrating because we have this fixed idea about when and where and how and what. And the retrograde blows that to bits, but sometimes if we can look for the gifts in the situation, but definitely there's open-mindedness is suggested here. So whatever's going on with, and online, this third house has become increasingly this area of the internet and social media. It's not the only area. For Geminis, there's also this 11th house is, well, for everybody, the 11th house can be an area of social media. But this third house is where we're texting back and forth and we're getting in chatter contests. Maybe it's fun, maybe it's not so fun. We've got Mars here. I would say Geminis want to be careful with texting too quickly, tweeting too quickly, posting too quickly. This is a time when if things are, there are shots across the bow too quickly, it won't feel as great. So with the North Node here is, what do you say? What's the first thing out of your mouth? What's your first response? It's in this fiery area. Geminis tend to be fiery in how they respond. They're also very quick-minded. They're very intelligent. Here, there's this idea of caution. Caution, a little restraint, a little review, a little revision is being asked for here. Whether you do it is up to you. It really is. But you'll get the best result later. Let's look at later in the month, when we have the solar eclipse going on, also very crowded into this third house area. This is the Mercury retrograde, full blown here. And it just intensifies this message for you, especially in who you work with, work partners, love partners, anybody you're partnering with, friends. So, the stuff we say too quickly without thinking, and the stuff we type into our phones without, a little too quickly. It's that kind of thing. And here, there's this idea with the Mercury retrograde that you can take it back. There is this thing called an apology. There's this thing called a retraction. You can restate something. People are very forgiving, ultimately. They forgive a lot. And you can apologize. You can review the situation quickly, even. You can grab it quickly and pull it back. Take it back. Apologize. If something happens here that's said in anger, texted in anger, typed in anger, posted in anger, you can take it back. You can apologize. And you may find it may be you, that's all you can control, really. It may be others. You're noticing other people freaking out online. Things blowing out of proportion. You can decide what to do with that. So just realize you are you're the decider. You're the decision maker here. And that's all you control is yourself. All right, take care. Hi Cancer, so we're here in August 2017 and we've got these eclipses everybody's talking about. So let's look at your chart, where it is in your chart, how it impacts you personally. We can't control everyone else, even if we wanted to, even if we worked really hard at controlling everybody else, we can't, ultimately. We can, use our words productively, try to persuade, but if we put all our attention on controlling others, we lose the power we have over our own lives. So with these eclipses, I suggest to everybody go back and listen to the intro, but I really suggest that you just focus on what you can do, how you're going to respond. Calibrate now for what you're going to do in August. So we start with the partial lunar eclipse, and that happens for Cancer across the money and work axis with the North Node newly in Leo in your second house. This is very, if you saw The Karate Kid, this is very wax on, wax off. This is doing the daily work, putting one foot in front of the other, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, focusing on the daily work, not focusing on the money, but on the daily actions. And with a North Node, it's a strong suggestion from the universe, and maybe from your internal self. It's a guidepost, a compass point. Your true north for now is focusing on your daily work. How you earn a living is important right now. Something will become glaringly obvious around August 7th. Something will come to light. It could be a big breakthrough aha moment. If you're really putting a lot of energy, you've got Mars here, a lot of energy toward work. You may notice how the effort you're applying, what kind of result that gets, and you may need to recalibrate. The whole month is about reviewing, noticing, learning, and recalibrating. The whole month is about being open to learning, being open to, because you are on a learning curve here. And you may go into August or the end of July even with this idea like, I know what I'm doing and I'm learning. And then somehow in August, it's like, oh, maybe I didn't know so much. And that's okay. So throughout August, and my coaching clients know, sometimes we just end every sentence with, and that's okay. Because we need to get through these tense times or something that seems hard or challenging. Maybe learning and grappling with learning something new is challenging for some Cancers. And so you're going to end every sentence with, and that's okay. Not to absolve yourself for terrible crimes, but to just move on. And just trust that, with North Node in your second house, it's also about your core values. So we're really not absolved of any crimes. The North Node's going to pull you closer into what you truly care about and value. So don't. Some people think if I say, and that's okay, I'm letting myself off the hook. I'm letting others off the hook. And that's bad, right? But it's not bad. It helps you move on. You let go and you keep going. You let that Mars energy circulate in a healthier way when you let go. Let go of resentments. Let go of anger. Let go of embarrassment. Let go of humiliation. Just move on. That's kind of the Mars and the Sun with the North Node is like, move on. But in a like happy, healthy coach who wants the best for you kind of way. And you may have people pushing you and coaching you, and you may feel some pressure or some heat in the workplace. And that's okay. So try to coach yourself with whatever it is you're trying to learn and absorb and do in your daily job. Some of you started, with Mars entering the second house, because it's it's less frequent. It's every 2 years. It can signal the beginning of some kind of new endeavor or new job. And it can feel like heat and fire and pressure and fast pace. So let's do a lot of, and that's okay. Oops, I just made a mistake, and that's okay. Oh, my boss just yelled at me, and that's okay. I'm not getting this as quickly as I thought, and that's okay. Just use that a lot. The money's not rolling in as quickly as I thought, and that's okay. I'm going to use this Mercury retrograde to learn, review, revise, recalibrate, keep my mind flexible and open. I'm going to notice what's glaringly obvious. I have a chance to totally restart and renew on the 21st. Maybe there's some kind of restart, recalibration at that moment in time. But I'm going to be very flexible with this Mercury moving back and forth, more than usual even. So work toward flexibility of the mind, openness, and adding, and that's okay, onto everything. All right, take care. Hi Leo, welcome to August 2017, and we are looking at the eclipses. There's so much talk around them. They are important. It is a big moment for you especially rising Leos, but all Leos. There's some personal effort and change that's being asked for here. When the North Node is in your sign, you're being asked to learn a lot and focus on yourself in a new way. What kind of evolving are you doing? Leos are fixed signs. And because this, for a rising Leo, if we fix this in the first house way of interpreting it, sometimes we get fixed on a certain haircut, a certain fashion, a certain way we present, and it's time to, and you will have been working on this before August, but it's time to begin working on how you come across. Are you willing to become unstuck and to evolve in how you come across? Can you change how you speak, what you wear, how you do your hair? Are you willing to change? I don't know what that change will be. It's really up to you. You know how you're being asked to evolve. So, some of you, maybe just, let's say a hair color is just not working out for you. You dyed it green and it's just not working for you anymore and you need to change. You're starting a new job. People are talking at work about how the green hair color isn't great for clients. It puts, whatever. I'm making that up. And I have no bias against green hair, really. I'm just making that up. So, I'm not green hair shaming, I promise you, but it's just a silly example, okay? So, because Mars is in your sign, you're going to feel like acting, moving quickly, especially on issues related to children, romance, and kind of what you're betting on. What are you gambling on? Do you have a creative project you're working on? You're going to feel really energized toward it. Some baby, creative baby of yours. A lot of energy, you're wanting to focus there. And that's okay. If you have this open-mindedness of the Mercury retrograde that suggests being flexible in your head. Mercury retrograde gifts you with its flexibility. It requires it, but it's also giving you the ability to if you choose it. Leos are fixed, I will repeat. But you are gifted with the ability to revise your, how you do things, rethink how you do things at work especially. Is there a creative job, a creative work, or so I don't know if it's your primary job or your secondary job. It's more like a hobby. Are you trying to start something? But there's revision, reviewing, recalibrating, planning, and staying flexible most of all. Staying open-minded most of all. Allowing things to change if they need to. Allowing for adjustments if it's needed. Trying to maintain patience because you're going to feel really like go, 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 go about something. It could be, again, a romance, a child decision, go, 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 go. Intensity. And that's actually okay. Like that energy is good as long as there's this willingness to change something about you. Like if, say you're starting, like, okay, you've written a book. Let's just pick that. So there's the book jacket and how you present it, like the cover, how you do your hair, how your actual photo. There's usually a photo of the author. This is just an example. So try to extrapolate this toward whatever you're doing. Maybe, you need to edit something in the book. You need to go back and rewrite the foreword. That's the thing that comes first. The first house, the foreword. The prologue. You need to review and revise, edit. Maybe the book jacket, revise, edit that. Maybe your photo. Maybe if you're speaking publicly or marketing, revise, change course. Be flexible with how you do it. If you decided something a while ago, like it's going to be this way, and by August it's going to be this way, you may find you need to course correct and just be okay with that. That's the way to keep that energy moving around whatever project. And with a child, you may have made a decision a while back, it's going to be this way. Be willing to course correct. Something you're betting on. Be willing to put your energy toward it, but with a flexibility of mind. There's some new job starts or rethinking around roles in a job. You may change roles or be reviewing something about work, daily work. With the North Node, and it kind of works actually very well with that Mercury retrograde because there's so much focus here with the Sun and the Moon and Mars. It's very appropriate to be mindful of how you come across and to be working on that, playing with it. You have that Saturn in the 5th house working very well with both eclipses, both the full moon and the new moon. So be willing to play in maybe a structured learning kind of way. Learn from what works and what doesn't work. Have some structure to how you play. Learn from it. Try, experiment, and see what happens with that. But there is this idea of being on message, because you've got Jupiter in the 3rd house. This is very much about being on message and expanding your ability to communicate and to expand the way you think, to learn to think in a new way. And a lot of luck here. So I think for the Leos who are flexible and willing to learn from what does and doesn't work, there's a lot of luck in your communications area. that you want to capture now. It's going to be leaving. It doesn't mean suddenly you're unlucky there, but you want to capture the good. This is an opportunity to really learn something new and master it. Okay? All right, take care. Hi, Virgos. So welcome to August 2017. We are looking at the eclipses, which are really just, a full moon and a new moon, kind of amped up, heightened in energy and impact a little bit. So a lot of people are talking about it, and it's sounding more fearful to me, the way people are talking about it. And I want to address that. Go listen to the first 12 minutes of this whole entire video, because I address the fear. But if you can guess, I'm thinking that's not the best way to go. So what we're going to do, all you can do at any given moment is control what you decide to do, what your thoughts are. That's a big part of that, and how you're going to react. So you can change your thoughts. You can change how you think about something if you want to react differently or make a better decision. And so, keep that in mind as we look at your chart. So the axis that all this is falling across is the Leo Aquarius axis. And sorry, I'm just looking at this, thinking of the different variations. So mostly this has to do with maybe some travel. There's a big travel message here for a lot of you. There's also a school, so you can think of in terms of learning and teaching. Teaching and learning and teaching. A child, maybe possibly in some way you'll find the themes of children traveling or going off to school. But really this is about you. So with that said, there's a big financial decision you're about to make, something that will change your finances suddenly. And there's some planning behind the scenes. And this is where you're supposed to be, not just because traditionally, the sun during Leo is in your 12th house. This is a time when you're meant to rest and maybe, be in planning mode. A little more thoughtful, reviewing, the whole Mercury retrograde deal. But you also have the North Node back here. And the North Node is like our true north at any given moment, especially as it's moving around. In your birth chart, you've got a true north. You've got where the North Node is. That's kind of a lifetime compass point. But when the North Node's moving around your chart currently in real time, this is your true north for now. So it's operating very much with these eclipses, especially the one on the 21st, the full solar. And that's like a new moon. So there's a big new start coming. You're starting something new. It's big. It's got a big feeling to it. It involves possibly your schedule, your health, maybe a need for travel, maybe a need for learning or teaching. Maybe you're becoming a teacher. Maybe your ninth house is also publishing something. It's also marketing, new marketing campaign. It's also the law, a new legal, Virgos, a lot of Virgos may be poised to go to law school. You've got Jupiter in your second house currently. It will be moving on, but a lot of Virgos are poised to learn more about the law, more about publishing, more about sales, more about teaching, more about learning. So those are the bigger themes, and it's just going to depend on the Virgo. And but there's a big new start, bigger for you guys because of the way Uranus is poised to go into at the end of the year. Really into 2018, but it's just pressing in on this cusp of the ninth house. And so some big decisions are being made, and you have this, when you think of decisions you're making and plans you're making and reviewing stuff, be thinking more with a window to next May or June. So it's good to be thinking about the now and the little tiny steps you need to make to get to that, to get to next May, but think a little more long term with whatever this big thing is. Be thinking at least ahead to next May. And that's going to be some kind of big turning point for you. And the themes, again, there may be some health themes, healer, like maybe some of you are more in a healing capacity, you're more of a healer or a health professional, or maybe your own health. But if you're trying to transition or transform your own health, this could be, your diet, it could be your physique, it could be more internal. Think in terms of, it may take time. And that it may look toward next May as a big starting point. If you are planning something behind the scenes, look to next May as being the biggest moment, not, everything between now and then is going to be like baby steps along the way. It's a part of the journey. Next May is still part of the journey because you're going to move forward beyond that. But there is a big moment, a big start next May. And I say all that because you may feel a bit stalled out, you may feel frustrated, you may feel like there's a lot of review, changing, and because Mars is back in the 12th house, you may feel a little angry about that. It may feel like you're stalled out, or things are dragging, or they're not moving as quickly as you'd like. But think of next May as really kind of where it's at in terms of the bigger shift. So everything, again, between now and then is little baby steps. And it doesn't mean nothing's going to happen. A lot of stuff's going to happen because you end the month, with this new start with Mars about to go over, there's a lot kind of pressing in on your ascendant here. If we position, Virgo in the first house, if we read it that way, there's a lot of stuff pressing in on this point right at your ascendant, but just before. So that North Node there, and the fact that it's just before, but it's actually on a very lucky point, is you're meant to be back here in this 12th house area for now. It's meant to be just about to launch. It's meant to be just about to burst open, but not quite. But again, it doesn't mean new things aren't, happening all the time, because eventually Mars will go over your ascendant. Mercury will go direct. So some things will open up for you in September. Some things do open up and start. And that will feel good. Just use this time, and Virgos love to do this, use this time for planning, revision, recalculation, staying flexible of mind. You are good at that. That is the thing. Virgos, you don't get a lot of great press for that, and you deserve better press for that, but Virgos are very flexible in their mind. They're very flexible in their opinions. It's something that not everybody gets, but you're one of the most flexibly minded, maybe even more so than Gemini. Geminis are flexible too, but you're quite flexible in your mind and quick. You can adapt quickly. Use that strength. Trying to think what else we can add here. A lot of this has to do with career. It may have to do with family, also dealing with family issues, possibly where you live. There may be a move for some of you. Or planning for where you live. Some planning, some forward thinking about where to live, where you want to live. Back here in the 12th house, it's a great opportunity to do vision boards, do guided meditations that allow you to open up your mind and your visualization capacity, your creative capacity, your imagination. It's a great time to use your imagination. Again, thinking if there's anything else. I think we've covered it. But the big news is something big is about to pop for you. and you're still in the planning stages. And with Mars present here with all this other energy, it could feel like, I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know when. I'm so ready, but it's not quite. There's that feeling of being held back a little bit, holding back or being held back a little bit. And as I said in Cancer, you just learn to end all your snows, and that's okay. I'm feeling held back right now, and that's okay. It's not quite happening yet, and that's okay. I had to revise my plan, and that's okay. Start saying that to yourself, and that's okay. It really works so well. And it works even when other people are doing things you don't like. Like, they just said that, and that's okay. They didn't like what I did, and that's okay. Just keep saying that. All right, take care. Hi Libra, welcome to August 2017. We are looking at the eclipses. They're getting a lot of press these days, and I just want to remind everyone, at least from my point of view, that the only thing we can control, it's not just my point of view, it doesn't have to be your point of view, but a lot of people believe this. The only thing you can really control is yourself. You can try to control other people, but you really can't. It's an illusion if you think you can. So all we got is, controlling our thoughts, controlling our actions, controlling our reactions. That's all we got. Those are our tools, but they're powerful tools. That's where our power is, and it's in the moment. If we're choosing what we think in the moment, if we're choosing our actions in the moment, our reactions in the moment, that's where our huge power is. So that's what I suggest people keep in mind for August. So what we have are two eclipses. One's a partial, one's a full. So we've got a partial lunar eclipse on August 7th, and then a full solar eclipse on the 21st of August. And both are focusing on Leo and where Leo hits your chart. And then there's this indication also of Aquarius where that hits. So we've got this axis. Also of the north and south node. And, there are a couple of stars involved here. We've got, this point that is trining something in Sagittarius where Saturn is. So we've got like these power points. There's some triggers here that are powerful, and that's why it's getting a lot of buzz. But if we just spend all our time worrying, or being fearful about this, we lose our power. So let's take our power back, okay? And for a Libra, your power around these eclipses lies in this 11th house area of your future. So these are decisions you're making about the future. For some of you, they're decisions around children. For some of you, they're decisions around a creative project. For some of you, they're decisions around a romance. Possibly to end one. Possibly there's some kind of beginning, ending for a child. Maybe they end a school year, they begin a school year, they leave a school and go to a new school, something changes with a child, possibly. But there are a lot of decisions, a lot of focus on the future. What do you want for your future? The North Node has recently moved into Leo, into this 11th house area, and it's requiring a little more action on your part. Not in August, but it's forcing you to look at your future in a way that you haven't been able to. A lot of Libras have been stalled out around looking at their future. It's been harder to see. Before the North Node moved into Leo, into this 11th house, it was in the 12th house in Virgo, which made it harder for you to see your future. You had to just kind of sit with your own thoughts and heal, get a little more meditative, maybe a little more spiritual, maybe be a little bit more alone. That's what was happening before. Now, with the North Node moving into the 11th house, it's asking you to, really forcing you to focus on your future. and who you want to surround yourself with. And what do you stand for in the world? What are you willing to change in the world? When you look out there, what do you want to be a part of? It's just a time for noticing this in August. Something may become glaringly obvious about your future, glaringly obvious about the people you surround yourself with, glaringly obvious about maybe the cause you want to become a part of. So there'll be some changes, something you notice. And with Mercury retrograde in your 12th house of your mind, you are reviewing things, noticing things, recalibrating, maybe changing your mind about something. Something it could be about, what you thought your future would be. You're changing your mind about what you thought your future plan would be. You're changing your mind about maybe something to do with a romance, maybe something to do with a child. You're changing your viewpoint a little bit. You're willing to think differently about something. And Jupiter is quickly approaching. It's moving slowly now, but it's going to move faster and faster with each passing day in August. It's going to start really just steamrolling quickly toward your second house of work. So there could be a big change coming for you. And right now is the thinking, recalculating, recalibrating, seeing things differently, being willing to see things differently about your future, what you want. And you're supposed to be paying attention to this because there probably were some fixed ideas about what you thought your future should be. And now it's all being reworked. You're changing that. And there's got to be some of the pressure and the heat you're going to possibly feel in August is wanting to resist some of these changes about your future plans. You're going to feel that Mars energy, maybe a strong desire to change now, change quickly, alter course now. But really, this is a time to keep researching and reflecting and recalibrating, revisiting, being patient with this process, but keeping your eye on that ball of your future plan. Something about it's going to need to change and needs attention. And you're right to be putting your attention there. That's okay. And as I said in the Cancer, we're going to, if nothing else works, just remind yourself with little notes, like when you open your wallet, when you wake up in the morning, in your car, wherever, and just put ... and that's okay. And just remind yourself to end every thought, every sentence, every observation with, and my dog just threw up on the carpet, and that's okay. My vacation plans changed, and that's okay. I'm going to have to totally change what I thought I was going to do with my future, and that's okay. Some are going to be harder to, believe that statement, but just practice, adding that to everything. My child was going to go to college and decided not to, and that's okay. Just play with that statement and try to stay flexible through August. Try not to react too quickly. Know that change is coming. Change needs to happen. All of us are going to feel that change needs to happen. But August is the time to be noticing the obvious and being ready for a new start, but being willing to spend some time with it. That's our task. All right, take care. Hi Scorpio, welcome to August 2017. So yours is your forecast is going to be a little bit like Libra. You can listen to that if you want to. You don't have to. And I do suggest that everybody goes back to the beginning and listens to the first 12 minutes. I know some people, especially with all this Mars energy, it's like, 12 minutes. Oh my God, that's so long. But if you're focused on astrology and you're wanting to know more, 12 minutes is not that big a deal. But, if you're in a hurry, maybe go back and watch it later. But 12 minutes, guys. Come on. So anyway, August. We have some eclipses going on, and there's a lot of buzz around. They are important eclipses. I'm not saying they're not. However, I usually think it's best, and you guys are strategists, you may get this, it's better not to be reacting and acting on fear or anger or any strong emotion. It's better to be kind of at peace and in a neutral feeling of curiosity. Definitely peace, kind of a calm, is really the best foundation for making good decisions and reacting. So whatever you can do to get yourself there, start by recognizing you don't have to be fearful about August. If you've been listening to a lot of very scary sounding forecasts, you can go that direction. It's not going to do your internal wiring and energy any good to get all worked up and scared, unless you're being charged by a large man-eating animal right now. You don't need to be in that state of alarm. It's much better to calm yourself down and recognize that you can't do anything about the eclipses now. All you can do is be in the moment and control what's happening now. And you'll make better decisions. You'll feel better inside. It's better for your health. You'll sleep better if you can work on finding a resting point of calm, or at least curiosity. Sometimes people have a hard time. It's like, calm. I don't know what calm is. Don't talk to me about calm. Shh. That would be one of my kids. But maybe curiosity. Maybe that's something I think Scorpios are very curious. They want to know more. So, if you want to know more, it's good to kind of open up your mind, calm down so you can be observant and be in the know. It's hard to know anything when you're racing around and you're being, kind of amped up by fear. You don't observe anything. You become blind, actually. So calm down or be curious, at least now and in the next moment and then the next moment. Each moment you get to, try to dial it back and recognize the power you have in the moment. There are some big changes afoot. It's mostly like, go listen to Libra, because yours is a lot like Libra, but the changes that need to happen are in your career zone, stuff that's happening in your career. So you're making some big changes, some of you more proactively. Something may become glaringly obvious on August the 7th. That's when we have the full moon. That full light of the moon is when we can really see things. Something really comes to light. And information is not our enemy. Information is good. There's actually a lovely trine going down to your second house. I think that overall, no matter what's going on, no matter what changes are going on in your career, that there's this lovely trine energy to Saturn, which when there's a trine to Saturn, that's really good. And there's another trine from Saturn up to Uranus. Again, Uranus poised on, this very important trigger point, the descendant in a chart. So there's some big changes afoot in, I would say for most of you, the career. Maybe some parenting issues. Maybe there's some things going on with your parents. Maybe there's some parenting changes for you where you're changing how you parent or something about parenting. If you've been in a divorce situation, often you can see this coming through, the courts where, maybe there's some changes in custody or money that comes your way. But I don't think it's so much that, but I'm just adding that in just to give people an example. I think a lot of this has to do with your job, your career. And because we have the Mercury retrograde, I think August is really a time to notice what's glaringly obvious. Notice what needs to happen. Maybe some changes will come in from the outside, but stay in a mental state of flexibility. That's kind of that place of curiosity. It allows you to be more nimble in your thinking. And this is definitely positioned, the Mercury retrograde is positioned in your area of the future. That's why the Libra forecast is relevant to you, because your 11th house is highlighted with the Mercury retrograde. Not so much the North Node as in Libra, but the thinking, the recalibrating, the revising, the reviewing is going on around your future. And maybe group activities are indicated here, maybe some kind of internet thing, internet community, but it's a time of planning and staying flexible and being willing to review, revise, change direction a little bit or a lot, based on what becomes glaringly obvious. Now, when we go to the new moon, which is the full solar eclipse, it's pressing in even more. And at this point, we've got Mercury pressing back onto this cusp where things are changing from the 10th house energy to the 11th house. So all the work stuff, all the work decisions, maybe some of the parenting stuff is pressing again on this idea of what are you doing with your future? Most likely it's what are you doing with your future career, status. The reverse point, the opposing point of the axis, is down on the cusp of the 4th and 5th house. So again, that brings up parenting issues, children, decisions. So you could be the parent, or maybe it's your parents. If there are no parents at all, you're not a parent, your parents are dead, you're an orphan, then it could be realizations about the past, how your childhood impacted you. There could be some things that come to light that become glaringly obvious. Like an example might be, it's not necessarily this, but just pulling something out of the hat. You recognize that your current job has repeated a childhood pattern with authority issues. Maybe something, however you deal with authority, some pattern you recognize as being repeated, and you realize you need to change that. A lot of you are going to realize you need to change jobs or roles within a job. So you don't have to leave a company. Don't get scared. No, fear doesn't work. But maybe it's time to apply for a new position in your company, or to ask for a slightly revised job description. It doesn't have to be, so big as, leaving something entirely, but something becomes obvious, that the change needs to happen, and you need to be flexibly dealing with this, flexibly kind of holding a space for curiosity and more ideas to unfold, more information to come in. So you're holding that space for more information. Like, just think of yourself as holding a container, or being a container for absorbing more information during August. Try to stay in that place of curiosity, that information's coming in. And try to say to yourself, like, I trust that I will get the information I need to make this decision to move forward. I trust that I will figure this out over the appropriate time period. I know that information's coming in and moving through me, and that I will come to the right conclusion. And I'm allowing, this very wise strategic process to take place by holding a space for it and staying a little open and flexible. See how that works. And there's always the idea of adding on to every sentence in August, ... and that's okay. I now hate my job, ... and that's okay. I now realize I have to leave my job, ... and that's okay. My whole future looks different, ... and that's okay. And, there will be people out there who have a very light version of what I'm talking about, and there will be people out there who have a heavier version of what I'm talking about. And it may feel harder to be curious, like, I don't feel curious, I feel sad, or, I don't feel curious, I keep wanting to be scared. There are going to be people out there with heavier versions of this, and I encourage you to, if you can. And Scorpio does have a very good sense of humor. Use your dark humor. use black humor in this, and just see the humor in the situation. If nothing else works, try to find the humor. It'll start to lift you a little bit to a better place of curiosity, and away from just the pit of fear where we become blind to solutions when we're in total fear. So the whole point of this is don't be scared, But, sometimes by just talking about fear, it gets people triggered and they're like, oh my God, don't get like that. It's not going to serve you. Try to hold that space of curiosity. Like, I'm really curious what's going to happen. Pretend, okay, this is good for Scorpio. So you're the cat, even though you're not a cat, you're a scorpion. But you're the thing that's going to eat the thing coming out of the mouse hole. You're the thing that's going to get the goodie. And it's going to emerge sometime, and you've just got to wait it out. You've got to be strategic and maybe you have to get away so it can't see you, waiting for it to, waiting to pounce on it. But be that curious cat who's waiting for the mouse. Treat anything that's coming in like that, if you can. That may be helpful, it may not be, but reach for another, kind of trick of the mind like that if that one doesn't work. All right, take care. Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your August 2017 reading. We're focusing on the eclipses, which is really just the full moon and the new moon. They're a little heightened with the eclipse energy. Mostly, if you go back and listen to the first 12 minutes, which really isn't that long, you will hear a whole talk about, is fear good or not, and when is it useful. And the Cliff Notes version is fear is bad. Unless you're being, like your life is threatened right now, the second, and you need to run, fear is mostly bad. It's good to notice it. It's not like you can ever you're not meant to ignore it, pretend it's not there, be in denial of fear. I'm not suggesting that, but I am suggesting that it's better to notice that we're afraid and just be aware, kind of sit in a moment of now, in the awareness of now. And just by noticing that you're scared, it kind of releases some of that fear. Because we also begin to notice that our life's not in danger right at that moment, usually, in most cases. If your life is in danger, be fearful and run. Protect yourself, defend yourself. If in this very moment, something bad is happening, someone's broken into your apartment with a gun, run, get out of there. But that's not what most of us are living through in the moment. Most of us are watching, I'm talking to you, you're listening to this, you're probably relatively safe at the moment. And I want you to realize that in this moment right now, you're probably safe. And just noticing that, it really releases some of that fear. And you haven't denied it. In fact, you become aware of it. So we're not in denial here. We're not trying to get rid of fear. We're just noticing, oh my God, I'm so scared. Why? What am I scared of? Do I need to react to something right this moment? When we can get out of fear, when we can release some of that fear and become aware of the moment, we get back a lot of our creative energy, and a lot of the true energy and power we have is in this moment right now. And in this moment, this is when we can decide to do things, we can decide to react a certain way, and we can get a little more creative. So the first eclipse is August 7th, and everything's pressing in on your midheaven. So there's some big changes on the midheaven area. This suggests like a career change, a relationship change, a big moment in life is approaching where there's a visible change in you. People see it. People notice a big change in you. Or you're feeling a lot of pressure to change. You're reviewing a lot about how you are in the world, how people see you, how you want to be seen. How do you want to be seen? How do people view you? It's not that we want to put ourselves in the shoes of others and get outside of ourselves, but if you're getting feedback, or maybe you realize you're worried too much about what other people think, and maybe you're recognizing you can go back in and the power's really inside of you, not in what everybody else thinks. But maybe you want to become more visibly the kind of person who doesn't care what other people think. Not that you're, in a mean way, but just, I respectfully do not care what you think. I think this. I want to be this way. And you've got, but the buzz in your head and some of the pressure is to think about who you want to be in the world and who you are in the world. What are you here? What does your presence do? Your presence can do something very healing and positive for you and everyone around you. Are you getting some ideas about what that might be, or feeling some of your strengths that are becoming more public? Something like that, some version of that. So there's going to feel like maybe there's a lot of pressure to act and respond in August. But really, a better approach would be to notice a lot, be very observant and open, and willing to change direction nimbly, flexibly, being kind of in the state of awareness, maybe demonstrating for others how to be flexible. Maybe taking a leadership role in how to analyze and review and recalibrate. Maybe you've got some leadership skill here that you didn't know you had, or maybe you're becoming more aware of your leadership ability. And maybe part of that is how you use your mind, and kind of a flexibility here is indicated. There's also this idea that you can change something about if you want to, you don't have to, but there is this idea of evolving your message. Evolving, depends on your age. For some of you, it's evolving your marketing plan. For some of you, it's evolving a publishing thing. Evolving something to do with the law. Maybe if you're involved in creating law, setting law, making decisions around law, your purpose right now may be to review something about the law. Where you want to go with that. Maybe you're in a leadership position, and the best skill you can bring to the forefront in August is to be willing to be flexible. Be willing to go back on a decision. Be willing to change your mind. You don't have to change your mind, but just having that nimble, flexible mind, holding a container for flexibility and new information is probably the most powerful thing you can do. All of us can do really in August, is being open to a change, to seeing something differently. Across the direct opposing axis that we're working with here is the third house, also information, learning, our message, what we say, how we come across with our message. And also, maybe some shift in home base, where we want to be, a change we want to make at home, some realization about our past, something from our past we leave behind. So I think for a Sagittarius, leaving something from your past behind. An emotional piece of baggage can be left behind, and you may have, at the beginning of the month, some glaringly obvious thing that you can leave behind. You're seeing something big that you can change. And then later in the month, you can be thinking a lot about that, really noticing, using your mind to pay attention, be observant, be flexible. And that's where your power is. All right, take care. Hi Capricorn, welcome. We're talking about August 2017. I encourage you to go back and listen to the first 12 minutes. I go over, fear, how to think about fear, how to deal with fear. Is fear good? Is fear bad? Cliff Notes version, fear bad. Unless your life is immediately in danger and you need to change something quickly. You need to run out of the house, run out of the way of a, oncoming truck. That's fear put to good use. Otherwise, fear can be very debilitating. It can freeze us, and it makes us very uncreative, and it makes us kind of stupid and blind. So try your best to release fear. So we don't want to, just to be clear, we don't want to deny that we're fearful. We don't want to deny a scary situation. We don't want to pretend like it doesn't exist. We actually want to put more awareness on it. We want to be very aware if we're living in fear. Just put a lot of awareness on it. Wow, I'm really living in fear. I just noticed that. Wow, I'm still in fear. It's a lot of awareness. That's not putting it in denial. I am still scared. That's a lot of awareness. That's not denial. It's the opposite of. But in noticing, it diffuses a lot of it. Begins to throw the light of day, the light of the moon. So this full moon, we've got all this eclipse energy in August. It's freaking some people out. But the full moon puts a lot of attention. It shows a spotlight on something we need to pay attention to. For Capricorns, this full light falls across the axis of work and money. So we're seeing something about daily work as it correlates to money coming in. We're really looking at the financial picture, the big picture. Something becomes glaringly obvious. It may be a happy aha moment. It may be something we want to change. But money and how we earn it, the effort we put in. But it's worth the effort for a Capricorn right now because you've got the North Node, you've got Mars, you've got the Sun, you've got this, eclipse energy. It's worth paying attention to your financial picture and how money is coming in, because your whole future is about to change with kind of a lucky direction. Like you're setting your sails in a new direction coming up this fall. You're not quite there yet, but there's a lot of fresh air coming into your future direction. And the piece that's happening now has to do with planning your financial stuff, seeing it clearly, noticing what needs to change in your day-to-day work, how you earn a living day to day, that day-to-day sweat and toil. What could change? What is obvious to you in early August? Then we move to the second eclipse, which is a new moon on August 21st. And all eyes are on this cusp that's it's really the cusp of the ninth house. And a lot of this energy we were just talking about is in the 8th house. So it's kind of right here, how these two houses merge together. And we are also taking into account how there are these other new beginnings starting for you. One is your career and your future direction. There's a luck happening here. What are you planning? In August, it really benefits you to be willing to revise your message, willing to revise your direction, your marketing plan, trip plan. Be very flexible and willing to hold space for curiosity. What if we did this differently? What if I did this differently? What sets me up for a better financial future? How can I work smarter, not harder, and earn more money? Double my income, triple my income. Is there a way? So it's really focusing on, and something about how you market yourself works here. And what you're selling. This is sales, this ninth house area is sales. Publishing, too. So the question really is, how can I strengthen my financial position? I have to look at that. And what can I do differently in the area of school, the law, publishing, marketing, sales, travel? How can I use this area to improve something about my day-to-day work life so I'm financially in a better place? Now, if there's a second marriage looming, there could be, for some people that ninth house is second marriage, or a new partner who's fits, kind of becomes a second marriage. Your second long-term relationship. Doesn't have to be marriage if it's long-term, very long-term and committed. So for some people, if it's a relationship, it's that, and reviewing, revising, recalibrating, rescheduling, allowing space for flexibility. That may need to happen. I'm trying to think if there's anything more here. You do have Juno in your sign, Capricorn, so there are themes of marriage here. But mostly, a lot of you are going to feel this internal tug to move in a new direction. And a lot of it has to do with career, how you come across publicly. You're going forward in a new way. And it's a lucky forward, especially if you're using this flexibility right now. So, in trying to release fears, not making financial decisions based on fears. I've watched people do this over and over again. I've done it myself. Making financial decisions, let me just repeat this a lot, out of fear gives you the exact opposite result of what you really want. Let me say that again. Making financial or just feeling fearful about money gives you the exact opposite of the result you want. Usually when we're fearful about money, we want security. We want more money. We don't want our money to drain away. And for some reason, I don't know why it works, but why it happens this way, but when people make decisions out of fear or they are fearful about money, their financial choices tend to be just disastrous or just bad or unhelpful, not getting the results somebody really wants. So trying to notice if you're making decisions out of fear rather than something else. Usually a place of peace and kind of trust, not trusting others, but trusting life, trusting yourself, a stronger foundation there. And Capricorns really need strong footing. And fear is a terrible place to find. There's no footing there. And it's disastrous for a Capricorn especially. So, you need a foundation of something more rock solid. And really trusting yourself, probably your own instincts and your own balance and ability to be nimble as a Capricorn. All right, take care. Hi Aquarius, welcome to August 2017. So we are looking at the eclipses because there's just a lot of press about the eclipses. So let's just deal with that. It does flavor the whole month along with this Mercury retrograde. They're all kind of working together. We've got Jupiter, we've got Saturn, everything's in the mix. But the big focus is on this axis of where the sun and the moon are. And for an Aquarius, everything's sort of huddled around this, at the beginning of the month for the lunar partial eclipse, which is a full moon, we have the strong axis between what is called the first house and the seventh house. So it cuts right across your chart. They're polar opposite areas. And the emphasis is really on the partnership zone. So something's becoming glaringly obvious. Something's under that full glare of the moon for reflection. And with Mercury retrograde energy really infusing the whole month, it's time for reflection, review, recalibration, recognition, just really an awareness, a big awareness and a knowing and a seeing something that maybe we weren't willing to see before. Maybe it wasn't obvious before. Maybe we couldn't see it before. But whatever the case, early in August, we had this opportunity to really see something in the zone of partnership. So this may be in your marriage, it may be in a relationship you currently have. If you're not in a relationship, this is more about seeing something about the types of partners you go for, maybe something about how you are in partnership, like how you behave, how you play into it, how you make it work or don't work, what your patterns are. You may see something. There's also the opportunity here for an Aquarius. Maybe somebody comes in. And it's big. It's a big moment. You do have the North Node that has newly entered the 7th house area. That is like a true north, a compass point for you. And in many ways, you're supposed to be focusing on partnership and how you interact and play well with others or don't. And so you may find somebody may enter your world that becomes a friend, a partner, somebody you work with. It could be even a company that you partner with. But it's pretty strong. And there's something, karmic, karmic in the sense that, a door has opened, somebody's come in. Something, a new partnership has come in. So, if you're single, if it's not, like the true love of your life entering your life, it's more about recognition, recognizing how you hinder or help your partnering process. Maybe new friends who are like partners, and maybe a work partnership comes into being, something you're supposed to focus on here. And maybe it's like, if it's about work, it's like, how do I partner with others? What energy do I bring to the table? How do I go at this thing called partnership and working well with others? The idea here is to be very observant and to see yourself more clearly. Something will become clear. And then later in the month, everything's pressing. It's still a partnership. That's still one of the themes. But it's really about things pressing in on this cusp between the 7th and 8th house. So it shifts a little bit. And so if a new partner has come in, if you've met somebody new, or maybe they don't have to be new, but something like a partnership's really heating up, then maybe it's getting more intimate. It's moving more toward intimacy, taking things to a new level. So this can be, very clearly in love, but also at work. You start talking money. It's not just about the handshake deal. It's about, okay, how do we deal with the money stuff? So it goes to a new level there. How are our finances intermingling here? Who is the bank account in both names, who has signing authority, all the questions around money and how it gets serious in that particular way. It's taking something in a partnership level, whether it's business or friendship or love, and taking it to a new level. And it's meant to be a time of flexible, holding a container, a space for all this stuff to unfold. And Aquarius is a fixed sign and can have very definite ideas about how things have to work. And if they don't, Aquarius wants to reject or create more distance. And if it is happening exactly the way Aquarius thinks it should work, then Aquarius might get surprised when, even though it went according to plan exactly, why something's off. So the best thing for Aquarius to do is use the incredible strength of your mind to get a little analytical psychologically here and notice when your mind wants to stay rigid and when maybe you can allow yourself to be a little more flexible. You're kind of aiming for a state of calm. If that is really hard for you, it's sometimes very hard for air signs because they're way up in their head, and that place of calm is more down below the screen. It kind of closer to your heart and your solar plexus. That's where calm kind of sits, or can. But if your heart's pumping and you're tight in your chest, that's definitely that's your signal you're not calm. But you notice the calm. The calm kind of emanates from your heart center. So if an Aquarius, if this is what we work on in coaching, by the way. So to try to figure out tools, how do we find calm? But if you can't do that, just reach for curiosity. It's very easy for an air sign to reach for. Just hold a space of curiosity rather than being, deciding. Don't be a decider this month. Hold a space of curiosity. Have a question mark here for this month. How will it go? I don't know. I have no idea how it should go. I'm staying curious. Be like that. And that's where your power is, okay? And so a lot of you are deciding to move soon. So a move is imminent. It's coming up over the next whole year. A year from now, you may well have moved. But you're not quite there yet. But some of this may have to do with real estate. There may be decisions for the Aquarius people out there around real estate, what you're planning for. All right, take care. Hi, Pisces. We are looking at August 2017. And we're going to cover the eclipses. They're getting a lot of press right now. I do suggest going back to the first 12 minutes and listening to the whole spiel on fear, because I really want to pound it home that fear equals bad. Unless your life is in immediate, like right this second danger. Fear is not serving a huge purpose. It's good to notice the fear. Noticing that you're in fear is information. That's great. And just by noticing the fear, we can take that energy and suddenly it frees up to do something a little more creative than just staying in fear and not really wanting to pay attention to it, not questioning why, or even just having the awareness. A lot of times we're sitting in fear and we're not totally being in the moment with it. I don't know how to state that more clearly, but maybe I'll think of a way. So for Pisces, one good thing about Pisces is it's not that you don't get fearful, but Pisces is kind of the swimmy fish that can move and shift, and at least there's like this movement in your sign. And it can allow for relaxation. It can allow for energy to move around. So you have a bit of a gift here. Just keep going like this to remind you. Pisces can get keyed up. You can get, some nervous energy in there. But, even just being around water, having, a fish tank or looking at water, even if it's just on a YouTube, video of a waterfall, do whatever you can to expose yourself to water. That helps you a lot. Drink more water during this time. But with the eclipses, we have the first lunar partial eclipse, and so it's really a full moon that we're talking about on August 7th, and kind of focused at that time on the 6th house. So this is about your health and your daily schedule. So Mars is here with the Sun and the North Node. So sometimes Pisces is just a little too slow and relaxed about getting places on time. Sometimes scheduling is like a concept that you can't quite wrap your mind around. Like Pisces would much rather be on its own schedule, and there's nothing wrong with that. As I said in the Cancer video, we can attach to the end of every sentence ... and that's okay. And I really do think that way in most cases. Sometimes it's harder to think that way, but the fact that you like to be on your own schedule is not a bad thing. I'm not judging it. Don't you judge it either. But if you're expected, because we have the North Node in here, the North Node's and the full moon is shining a light here. Something's becoming very obvious. Is it hard to show up on time? Do you have problems with managing your time? Do you have enough time to pay attention to your health? Is your social life impinging on your work life or vice versa? What's happening? I don't know the answer to that, but something will become really available for insight, available for inquiry. So You'll be noticing something about the combination of your schedule and your health, your ability to be on time or not, expectations of others. Are you meeting your own expectations? Are you mad at yourself about how you manage time? Being angry with yourself probably isn't overall going to be helpful. That initial burst of energy from Mars can help you do something about it. But if you just turn it inward as anger, it's just hurtful. So again, I'm not judging you. You know, a lot of times Pisces ultimately need to be on their own schedule. They need to own their own business. You guys have a good head for business, and eventually in your lives you may do well to be your own manager, your own, you know, shopkeeper, your own business owner, because you just do better. You know, you can schedule yourself. But if you work for someone else, or you're at the behest of someone else, taking care of others, taking care of pets, whoever this is, children, there's a scheduling issue. Don't get mad at yourself. It's probably not going to help. Be mindful. So the way to deal with all this is to notice if you're scared. Notice if you're mad at yourself or turning anger inward. Notice what happens when you do that. Do you get heartburn? Does your back start to hurt? Does your neck, do you get a migraine? What happens when you get angry at yourself? What's going on with your health? The North Node and the full moon, all of this wants you to notice something about your health and how maybe a change needs to happen. Usually when we have to notice something, it means something has to change, especially with the North Node is saying it's time to evolve to a new place, evolve to a new level here. Learn, grow, change. Later in the month, so you already had this glaringly obvious thing, a prompting to grow and to change. And then on the 21st, we have the full solar eclipse. This is a new moon. And there's an emphasis on partnership. So here, you know, are you partnering with the right person? Does something need to change about a partnership? Is a new person? Do you have a new person in your life? If you're in a relationship, maybe something needs to change. You know, maybe there needs to be a change within the partnership to accommodate something to do with your needs. You know, maybe if you can't meet everyone else's schedule, there needs to be a discussion about that. Maybe you need to just decide you're going to manage your schedule a little differently if you want this partnership. If it's a work partnership, you're going to be putting a lot of energy into your day-to-day activities. And you're going to be wanting partnership, agreement with people. Sometimes this is about closing deals, because there's a strong line down to your second house of work. A lot of people at Pisces, with Pisces in their chart, you know, whether it's your sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, this is kind of a time of marriage too. So a marriage partner could arrive on the scene. You could be actually getting married. There could be a wedding here. It's going to feel, so we're really practicing a lot of mindfulness in how to calm oneself down, how to get out of anxiety and fear during the month of August. We've got this Mercury retrograde. There may be kind of a space you need to hold and allow for some calm to come into your life. Find moments of the day, because scheduling is kind of an issue, kind of a lot to fit in here. Find moments of the day, pools of calm within your day. And also holding a space for curiosity and for flexibility. There may be some changes here, slight recalibration, rethinking, rescheduling, redoing, revising, something. So maybe if there's let's say there's a wedding, okay, maybe some flexible changes need to happen, you know, things that need to just adjust. And so just try to be the flowy Pisces that you are and let things kind of flow with the path of least resistance here. With a relationship, let's say it's work, and there's a lot of pressure in your schedule, there's a lot of effort going into your daily tasks, and the goal is partnering, maybe closing a deal, maybe reaching agreement. To reach agreement, to close a deal, to work well in partnership, it may be that there's some flexibility needed. There's some rethinking here. Is this right for me? Is this job right for me? Is this really the best fit? Do I need to rethink this? Without fear. Let's think really what's best for your health. How are you really feeling? Do you really feel good in this partnership at work and love? How do you feel? Notice. You don't have to change it. Just notice how you feel. That alone gives you a lot of information to go on. That alone increases clarity. Just noticing how you feel. So with respect to new partnerships, existing partnerships, work partnerships, deals, things you want to negotiate and kind of close, how is it feeling? How's the whole thing feeling? Is it feeling off? Does it make you feel sick inside? What needs to change here? I can tell you one thing, there will be delays, there will be a need for flexibility. There may be a need to attend to someone's health. There may be a need to attend to someone's health. Maybe your own health. And that might be a cause for changing some things. And again, we're going to borrow from what I said to Cancer, and at the end of that, ... and that's okay. There may be delays, and that's okay. We may need to take care of someone's health, and that's okay. May need to change something about the schedule, ... and that's okay. And just repeat that. So, maybe I need to change jobs, ... and that's okay. And that's okay. All right, take care.